Hey there, math students, and welcome to your absolute value review. In this video, we're going to go over problems 1 through 14, except for those quiz questions. All right, so let's start with number 1. You could think of the absolute value of n equals 5. You can just think what values for n would give you an absolute value of 5. Or if it's easier, you can also just do the split like we do on our more complicated problems. So let's do the split right now. So I'm going to drop my absolute value bars, and on the first side of the split, I'm going to put n equal to whatever's here, which in this case is 5. And on the other side of the split, I'm going to do n equals the negative version of what was here. So in this case, negative 5. And those are your two answers. Okay, let's go on to number 2. In number 2, you have absolute value of n is equal to negative 12. What's wrong with this problem? That's right, absolute value is always positive, always, because it's distance and distance can't be negative. So when you have the absolute value of something equal to a negative number like this, you know that it's going to be no solution. Just one word of caution though, before you decide it's no solution, make sure the absolute value is actually by itself. You don't want to have 15 plus absolute value of n, or something outside of those absolute value bars. You want to get rid of everything on the outside and just have the absolute value equal to the negative before you decide it's no solution. Let's keep going. 3 and 4 are quiz problems, so we're going to skip those, and we'll go to number 5. All right, so we have absolute value of x over 2 equals 2. First question to ask yourself, is the absolute value part isolated? In this case it is. So you've got nothing on the outside of the absolute value bars here, and nothing on the outside of the absolute values bars, I can't talk, over here, except for the equal sign. But we're just talking about on its side of the equal sign, right? So because it is isolated, we can go ahead and split it. So let's split. We're going to have x over 2 equals 2. So on this side, you've just dropped those bars. Nothing else fancy is going on. On this side, you're going to have x over 2 equals the negative version of this, which is negative 2. And now we can solve. Let's get rid of those 2's by multiplying. So multiply by 2 on both sides, and you have x equals 4, and x equals negative 4. So that would be your answer for that one right there. Let's go to number 6. Once again, our absolute value function here is already isolated. There's nothing keeping it company on its side of the equal sign. So we can go ahead and do our split. So we'll do x minus 2 equals 3. And then on the other side, what are we going to do? X minus 2 equals what? Negative 3. Good job. Okay, once we have that, we just have to solve both sides. So we're going to add 2, and we'll get x equals 5. And we'll add 2 over here also, but we'll get a different answer. This time x is going to equal negative 1. So your two answers here are x equals 5 and x equals negative 1. Let's go to number 7. If you want to pause the video and try this by yourself and then watch, that would be a great idea. If you want to do that, go for it. So here's my question. Is the absolute value isolated already here? No, it's not. We've got this absolute value here, and then this minus 9 is totally keeping it company. So we got to get rid of the minus 9 before we can deal with the absolute value part. To get rid of minus 9, we're just going to add 9 to both sides. That's going to go to 0. So we are left with the absolute value of v over 2 equals negative 4. Okay, so now you're going to do the split, except, do you notice? Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see it? The absolute value is set equal to a negative number. Can that happen? No. So don't do the split. Just go ahead and write no solution. All right, good. And if you saw that, good work. Sometimes it can be easy to miss that. Let's go over to number 8. Okay, is the absolute value isolated here? No, it's not. There's this random 2 underneath it, right? Let's get rid of that 2 by multiplying by 2 on both sides. That's going to cancel, and you're left with the absolute value of negative 5b equals 4. Now is it isolated? Yeah, so let's go ahead and do our split. So over here, negative 5b is going to equal 4, and over here, negative 5b is going to equal negative 4. Okay, now to solve, let's just divide by our negative 5s. So you're going to have b equals negative 4/5 over here, and b is going to equal positive 4/5 over here, because a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive. And that's your answer. Let's go on to the next page. Okay, number 9. -3 plus the absolute value of 7n equals 46. Question 1, is it isolated yet? No, it's not. What do you need to get rid of? You need to get rid of that -3. So right now it's adding to the absolute value, so we're going to get rid of it by using addition and subtraction. So what's the opposite of -3? +3. That's going to be what makes it go to 0. So let's cancel that out. And now we have absolute value of 7n equals 49. Now what do? Time to split. 7n equals +49, and 7n equals -49. And now we're going to solve by dividing by 7 on both sides, and you're going to get n equals 7 here, and n equals -7 there. And that's your answer. Number 10, that's a quiz question, so I'm going to leave that one up to you. Let's go on to number 11. Okay, so is the absolute value in this problem isolated already? No, we got to get rid of that -7, right? Now, what is this -7 doing to the absolute value part? It's just stuck right in front of it with no sign in between. That means it's multiplying. Now, if these were parentheses, we would probably choose to distribute into those parentheses, right? But can we distribute with absolute value? No, we can't, so we're going to have to do it a different way. Because we know it's multiplying, we can use division to get rid of it. So I really shouldn't have underlined it like that. That's kind of in my way. But let's just do like that. We're going to divide by -7 on both sides. That cancels out to 1, and we're left with 5 minus -4, or rather the absolute value of that, is equal to 5, +5. And now we split. 5 minus 4n equals 5. And over here we'll do 5 minus 4n equals -5. Okay, what do we get rid of first? The 5 or the -4? Let's get rid of that 5 first. Get rid of the number that's not attached to the n. So subtracting that from both sides, you get -4n equals 0. And so n is going to equal 0 over here. Over here, we're still going to subtract 5 from both sides, but this time we'll get -4n equals -10. And so n is going to equal 10 over 4. I just dropped my negatives because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, right? So you have 10 over 4, which is equal to 5 over 2. And that's your answer there. All right, let's look at number 12. Is it isolated? If not, what should we get rid of? Got to get rid of that 2 so that you just have the absolute value there by itself. So let's multiply by 2 on both sides. And that's going to, whoops, I missed it. That's going to be cancel. You have absolute value of 6 minus 6x is equal to, let's see, 0 times 2 is still 0. All right, so here's where we would do our split. But here, watch, something interesting is going to happen. 6 minus 6x equals 0 over here. And then over here we do the negative version, but -0? Is that even a thing? No, it's not. So here you really don't even have a split. Just cross that -1 out and just solve the one where you set it equal to 0. So let's get rid of this 6 first. We'll have -6x equals -6. And then divide by -6 on both sides and you'll get x equals 1. And you're done with that one. We've got one more to do in this video. That's number 13. So we have negative absolute value of 8p plus 4 equals 12. So what do you do with this negative sign out front? I like to think of it as a -1. So I'm going to write a little 1 in there. So now it's like -1 multiplying by the absolute value part. So to get rid of the -1, we're going to have to divide by it. So divide both sides by -1. And you're going to be left with absolute value of 8p plus 4 equals -12. Okay, so here's the part where you would do your split, except something has happened again. Do you see it? Do you see it? All right, yes, that's it. You got it. Absolute value cannot be negative. So what are you going to write? No solution. And you're done with that one. Number 14 is on your quiz, so I'm not going to go over that one. If you want to go over 15 and 16, just check out my next video. Thanks for watching.